Artistic Differences, and today we are reviewing the 1986 Jeff Bridges movie, 8 Million Ways to Die. The movie had pretty solid acting from Jeff Bridges. I mean, he always brings it when he's on screen. He's a great actor. The story was pretty good. There's really a lot of meat on this bone. It's hard to be mean to this movie. There's not a lot to pick on, and it's a pretty well written, pretty good movie. It's fairly fast paced for how much story they squeeze into it. It's just under 2 hours long, I think. And it starts off with Jeff Bridges' character. He's a cop, Matt Scudder, and I think he's, what is it, a narcotics unit, I guess? They're serving a warrant.
Yeah.
And it all goes horribly wrong. And that sort of kicks off what all happens in the movie. The opening scene, well, not the opening scene, but the moment where they're serving the warrant and he ends up having to shoot the criminal. Bob and I had a discussion when we were watching the movie about that, actually, because the catch here, the moral issue is that the criminal didn't have a gun. The criminal had a baseball bat. But the criminal was actively attacking officers with the ball bat. I mean, he had one on the ground and he's hitting them. And so the Jeff Bridges character shoots the criminal and kills him right there in front of his wife and kids.
My question was he drunk?
Well, yeah, you saw him drinking as they were walking to the house. He has the flask under his hat.
So
and
he was drunk on the job, and that caused him to fire on a man who was beating someone with a baseball bat.
So, I mean, his drinking issues are a theme, like, right from the beginning.
Absolutely.
But then what Bob and I had discussed was, would there have been a better way to solve that problem? You know, could he have gotten around that without killing that criminal? I mean, in the heat of the moment, the criminal's hitting one of his partners with a baseball bat on the ground.
One of those things, you probably had to be there. I was thinking what I would do if he could have gotten in the house, and the guy, take your gun with you, but if you can get in the house, try to fight the guy physically without, have your gun ready, but,
The front door was right there. The other cops,
I mean, two other cops came right in,
He was just talking
and he's
through
talking
the
through the windows.
So the other cops, I feel like, could have wrestled him down from the baseball bat.
It's an odd scenario, and the thing is, the way they portrayed it in the movie, I can understand how any average human being in that situation would have done what he did, especially in the heat of the moment. But I could also understand how bad it would look in front of a jury, and how hard it would be to make that story fly. And so it's that right off, the movie starts with this sort of moral quandary that Bob and I really couldn't come to a solid agreement on. And I think that's the sign of a well-written movie, is right off the bat, it's giving you something that you do feel sort of torn on. You feel like it's making you ask questions of yourself, in a way. I think it gives the movie a little more substance right off the bat. You have a little introspection, especially with the way current events are. I mean, this movie's in 1986, but in 2021, police violence is certainly a big issue.
So I would say that that's kind of like, another layer to the story, okay? That you have somebody not struggling with just the plot of the movie, they're struggling with their own personal demon of alcoholism.
Yeah, he starts off the movie clearly with a drinking problem because he's drinking on the job. That's not the behavior of a...
Right, and the alcoholism goes with him, I think, for the rest of the movie, which is, it ties into what's happening.
After he kills the perpetrator, then his alcoholism really explodes, and it creates a lot of problems for him. He loses his marriage, he ends up...
Well, the first wife, I don't think she was as attractive as his later love interest.
Well, that's what's important. Yeah, his wife couldn't hold up to the.
No, but sometimes you lose and you end up winning.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's sort of how the story progresses. Really, is his alcoholism takes him down a dark road that they cover really quickly with some interesting cinematography. It's not like you get put through a montage or anything. They just kind of have voices echoing while the lights are playing, and you get the idea that time is passing. and then boom, he's in an AA meeting getting his 6-month sober check.
Yeah.
You know what I thought
Yeah.
was great cinematically? During the AA scene, the camera was completely on the other alcoholics there.
Oh, yeah,
It was not on Jeff
I love how
Bridges.
every one of them were chain smoking and drinking coffee or soda. Yeah, some form
It was
of
a good
caffeine.
artistic,
Yeah, that's a
uh,
very realistic portrayal of AA, I can say.
Cinematography
Yeah,
wise,
not
that was a
that I've
good
been-
choice, I thought. And if we could just take it back to the beginning for just a minute, I thought that the choice of you have they're flying in the beginning. They're
Oh, the
flying,
very opening
yeah,
sequence.
the opening
yeah.
sequence. They're flying
Yeah.
over the city,
That was a great shot.
and that was great. And I
Yeah.
also like how there was some dialogue over that,
Mhm.
and
It sort of sets you up for the movie. It even gives you the name of the movie. Sort of drops it like a tagline, and the music throughout the movie is, I mean, it is
1980.
86. Yeah.
Yeah, it had some great 1986 music. I thought
Yeah.
not so much vocal wise, but just there's some good keyboards.
Yeah. I mean, there's.
Keyboard driven.
I don't think there was any vocals at all in any of the soundtrack. I think it was all
No.
original score.
I think it was all
It seemed like it. We should have paid attention to the credits, and we'd know. But yeah, I think it was. I'm gonna go with that.
Sounds right.
I'm not googling it.
No.
Yeah. All right.
We haven't heard from Bob.
Well, at that point, he,
At the 6-month sober point.
yeah,
Yeah.
at the 6-month sober point, then, I remember he goes to a party.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
goes to that party where there's a bunch of wealthy people that he seems to know,
Yeah.
and that's when he meets Garcia.
Right. His
What
name was
Angel. Go ahead.
This is what I want to call him. This is just my personal.
Get it out, buddy.
Angel, the snow cone, Maldonado.
Yes.
That's right.
Maldonado, which is Spanish for bad Donato.
But here's the thing: not only does Angel Snow Cone Maldonado share my last name, but he also, I thought it was funny, Snow Cone, he dealt in cocaine.
Yeah.
So snow,
Great metaphors.
cocaine.
Yeah. You know something.
And they were
in-
bloody. They were reds. The red.
They were bloody.
Yeah, the
snow
red
cones.
dot, yeah. I mean, clearly, there's a lot of stuff being dropped there. In going back and watching '80s movies as an adult,
Andy
have
Garcia.
you noticed what a staple cocaine is for all the villains and
Well,
everything?
the '80s was
Yeah.
the biggest
I mean,
cocaine
it was,
days.
but like it was so in the zeitgeist of the social culture back then, man. And it's so strange to think of. And you turn around and watch a show like Mork and Mindy that was coming out around the same time. No mention of drugs in the show. It's network friendly, but clearly everyone was on. Anyways,
Yeah.
What, you think people were on cocaine during Mork and Mindy?
You
I
think
think-
that
I think
Robin
Morgan-
Williams was not
Yeah.
loaded?
I think the
Okay,
show Mork and Mindy
but-
is cocaine given flesh.
Was
Made to run around the room.
was the entire staff on cocaine? Like, hey, Jerry in the mailroom, you want some blow? Robin's done.
I mean, if I was in charge of all of them, I wouldn't drug test them. That's all I'm saying. You don't ruin a good
Can I?
job.
I want to point out some things in the movie.
Yeah.
Some things that I thought were interesting. You have a cop who's no longer a cop. Okay,
Right,
he
yeah.
loses his job, and he has friends in the underworld. Like he's friends with a pimp. He has a relationship with 2 different prostitutes.
I mean, the friendships they do keep them sort of contentious. Like it doesn't make it seem like he's just real close with them and he was a crooked cop. They never give you the feeling he was a
Right,
crooked cop.
not so much crooked. You're just
Yeah.
not a cop anymore,
Yeah.
and you have
Yeah.
the liberty to do
He
certain
knows
things.
people from that life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, one of the prostitutes, which I thought was the prettier one, she ends up crossing over into the realm of the dead.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And
You hate to see her go.
I was upset about that. I wanted to see, you get to see her nude, and that's
It's always a treat.
for some viewers that's a good thing.
You know, it's crazy. Like the budget for this movie was probably higher than the 1997 Habitat movie we watched, but there was way more nudity in Habitat.
I thought Habitat was a better movie. That's just me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think. Well.
Wow, I was afraid we weren't gonna.
No, hold on. Let me just say this. Let me rephrase it. I think Habitat was a more entertaining movie. Maybe not a better movie. It's just more entertaining.
Okay, I don't want to make the whole video about Habitat, but I have thought about this, and actually, I'll say this: if Habitat were a short story I had read in 6th or 7th grade, I would be like, "Holy shit, dude! You have to read Habitat. It's the best ever."
There
But as
wasn't
a
enough
movie, it's
violence. 8 Million Ways to Die did not have enough violence.
Well, you're right. The name of the movie did not deliver.
Right.
Godzilla vs. Kong is a deep contrast. Godzilla vs. Kong delivers what the name promises. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You get a good
delivers
fight at the
what
end.
name
Like
promises.
when they get to the scene at the end where they're trying to do
Yeah.
the drug deal,
Yeah,
that's a really intense, violent moment.
and that's like you had mentioned watching this movie because of Quentin Tarantino bringing it up
Yeah.
on the Joe Rogan podcast.
That's true.
And, at that moment where the big climax is happening, it hit me like how much of some of little pieces of this movie are scattered throughout Tarantino's movies.
I think he was
especially
influenced
the
by
early
it.
ones. If you look at the script for True Romance, he wrote the screenplay, right? For True
He
Romance.
did that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So True Romance, and then you look at like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, and maybe not even as much as a line feels inspired, but there are just moments or behaviors or something that, like when the girl busts out her own little glass straw for the cocaine.
That was
and immediately
interesting.
I thought of Uma Thurman going to powder her nose in Pulp Fiction. The end of the movie and the climax reminded me a lot of the more high tension moments of True Romance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that it was all over cocaine and a hooker who happened to be an Arquette.
I thought that the interactions between Andy Garcia and Jeff Bridges were probably some of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm a little scatterbrained with my review because I'm just thinking back, but one thing I want to mention that I think
We
is,
jumped around a bit.
which I think is very important for me, because I felt fantastic about this part of the movie, and I think Jeff Bridges may have invented this. So he's in the car with his pimp friend, and his pimp friend punches him in the head. And Jeff Bridges, instead of punching him back, decides to do this special move where he takes his entire back and he pushes it against his friend and squashes him against his side of the car.
I don't think it would work in real life because I think his friend still could have like hit him in the head.
But no, you're not Jeff Bridges.
It's tricky.
Jeff Bridges
I'm
has the
not
power.
Jeff Bridges, you have.
Yeah, the guy may have opened the door or something, but I think the way Jeff did it, he just smashed him. I just thought that was a great, it was a great non-violent way of handling the
Yeah.
situation. And in the future, I might have to use that against a girlfriend gone wild or something because hey, you don't want to beat her,
No.
but you could. Or,
Sometimes you just gotta
or
smush
him,
her a little.
whatever.
Yeah.
You smoosh him
You just
until
smush him.
calm down
There's no law
on the
against
smoosh
There's
you.
no law against smushing.
Right.
It's
Hey!
not assault.
Right.
It's not assault.
He crushed
Yeah.
me.
You could do that to a stranger on the street. They really got. I mean, it'd be weird.
I
But
thought
they-
that was very cool. Jeff Bridges looked in great health in this movie. He had a cool mustache.
We got a quick cameo. One of the internal affairs officers near the beginning asking him about his gunshot incident was James Avery, Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Uncle Phil, who also played the voice of Shredder.
Yes.
We also had what was his name?
Who?
You gotta be more specific.
Tall man.
Oh yeah, Zeus.
Yes.
Zeus. Sancho from the Sublime videos, but in my heart, Zeus. Hulk
Zeus.
Hogan's Ultimate
He was in
Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's the villain
The
of No Holds
WWF.
Barred,
Zeus.
the greatest movie ever made.
He's got a great pair of shades. And the scene where he's like running, yeah, it's protecting his pimp friend.
Angel.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, not.
You know what? In the movie, I felt like Andy Garcia, who was very young in this movie, he did a great job. And I felt like the suit he was wearing was like the same kind of suit that the Jim Carrey mask suit, it kind of looked like.
It was like the colors were way more toned down.
and then
yeah.
he lived in a mushroom house. Andy
Yeah.
Garcia,
Yeah, there was
Angel
some,
of the Snow Cone Maldonado, lived in a house that was all like weird with lines, and
I
on
should
top of it
look
there was
that
a
up,
mushroom.
because I'm willing to bet that's a real architect.
There was a mushroom on
yeah.
top of the house.
The 45.
They probably
degree
didn't build that
angles and
house
stuff.
for the movie.
They didn't build a house.
I don't know, man.
That's
I don't know.
that's probably like someone's real house. With a
He just
mushroom on top.
randomly gave him a speech on architecture for like.
Pretended to be his
2-3
friend for
minutes.
5 minutes, and then he's like, you know, I can't do business with you.
Yeah, their arguments were really funny. The way they argued,
They were.
they
It
would
was-
say
it
funny
was
things
strange.
to each other. They would.
It was like a really
Yeah.
bizarre pissing contest where like both of them were trying their hardest to make the other one
Laugh.
scream first
Oh.
or something like
It kind of felt like the actors
Yeah,
were trying
sure,
to make each other laugh.
I was thinking more hurt each other,
Yeah.
but yeah, laugh.
I wish I could remember some of the lines, but I don't.
The moonlight makes my pussy hair glow in the dark.
That is a line from the
That is-
movie, indeed.
Yeah, that is poetry. it came out of nowhere. I mean, the scene is so serious. He just got off the phone with his daughter talking about meeting her tomorrow, and then she's in the bathroom with the lights off, just calling him in there. He's like, "What's wrong?" "Nothing wrong. I want to show you something." And then boom, there's the most perfect line ever. It didn't break the mood for me, but I see how it could for some people. Didn't Oliver Stone have like a writing credit?
Oliver Stone wrote this
Do you
with.
think Oliver Stone wrote that line?
It's possible.
I have to
He was
write
in
a
Vietnam, I
fan mail
think.
and find out or something.
Yeah,
Has to be a way to go.
I think the guy who wrote it was. I can't remember the name of the guy. I want to say it was Roth or something like that, but
I don't think it was that.
I kind of lost the name. Yeah.
But all in all, it's a well written, well acted movie. It's pretty solid. For 2 hours, for just under 2 hours, it moves pretty fast. But there were definitely a few moments where it might have dragged. A shot might have lingered on somebody walking about 10 or 20 seconds longer than it really needed
They
to.
shot a lot of Jeff Bridges' feet.
They did. There was an impressive amount of his feet in the movie, which
Well,
also, again,
Quentin
Uma
Tarantino?
Thurman, Quentin Tarantino. Yeah,
This is
we're,
male
we're
footage.
on the same page there.
It's for the
Yeah.
ladies this
Yeah.
time. Male
Yeah, that
feet.
was for the ladies that time. You know, Tarantino likes to make things equal.
Yeah.
Yeah, all in all, it's a pretty good movie, and it moves at a decent
Do you think
pace.
Tarantino saw the Jeff Bridges foot shots and was like, I'm gonna do this with the women I find attractive?
See, he just got on the same page that we were just,
Oh, sorry.
that's what we were saying, yeah.
Well, that's what I was.
Yeah, that's,
I was
we do.
I'm
we do
agreeing
think
with
that.
it. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
we
doing.
do. As a matter of fact, we do think that, Eric,
I was agreeing with it.
Yeah. and we agree back.
It was a time of Hawaiian shirts
Yeah.
and bright colored suits.
And mustache.
So for the surprising lack of violence and action in the movie, except in some bigger highlighted scenes,
There was a lot of drama in it and dialogue opposed to actual fighting, which is it's
well,
fine. It still had a
they do
good
a lot
movie.
of exposition and character
Yeah,
building,
it's
and I think a lot of the character building would feel like a cliche now, but because the movie wasn't shot
Yeah.
after the 21st century, I think it comes across as pretty original. It doesn't feel forced or weird, and the writing never really feels cheesy to me, anyways. So
And Tarantino was saying that in the 80s was a time of censorship in movies, and this movie broke the mold for a lot of certain scenes, you know. And it stepped outside of the box where a lot of the films back then were not stepping outside the box, you know, as far as dialogue and things like that.
yeah, I mean that's '86, so that's what like prime time for action movies, really, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
What was Commando '86 or was it before?
I don't know. But it's definitely before 90.
Yeah, but I mean, like Schwarzenegger movies, as much as I love them, like they're not known for the great dialogue, right?
No, it's
Unless
pretty
you
much about
consider his
Schwarzenegger, the
one-liners.
action.
I mean, his one-liners are golden. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong,
Oh.
but they're golden for all the wrong reasons.
they're not usually like films. They're more like
Don't
action
have
movies.
opinions.
You know,
It-
the closest thing we ever got to a Schwarzenegger in a film was probably Maggie, where he had his daughter turned into a zombie.
yeah.
So you cannot take my daughter out of here.
I never bothered to see Maggie.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay.
Anyways, so if I have to give it a number, I guess probably give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Like
Bob?
$8 million. $8 million.
Definitely 8.
You think it's an 8, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta hear Bob. What's your reason for giving it an 8?
Well, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm giving it an 8.
Why? Why do you give it an 8? You just loved it. You thought it was great.
There was a lot of. There was
See, he doesn't agree with you.
Yeah.
He's
he
like,
disagrees with you.
what would you give?
He gave it a
I give
6.
Oh, a 6.
6. Yeah.
I just think it had a lot of good ingredients in it.
Okay, well that's fair enough.
I mean, it's a good movie. I
Yeah.
figured Bob would like it.
All right, let's
Pretty
see.
solid.
We're gonna give Brady. Brady, what do you give it a rating?
I'll say 6 as well.
I give it
I
a.
can see that.
I give it a 5.
5,
What'd you give it a 6?
6. Yeah.
I give it a 5.
I think that's
Yeah.
fair. I think that's fair. It's really well written. It's really well acted. It's a good movie all in all. But at the same time, like it's not necessarily a groundbreaking It's not like they did something amazing with a tiny budget.
Right.
It's not like they did something amazing with unknown.
So it's
actors.
it's definitely worth watching,
Yeah.
especially if you're like a filmmaker or whatever. You get some good ideas, and there's some good scenes in it. You know, I thought it was good, but I'm right in the middle with it, number 5. So.
Yeah, it's not something that I see myself ever dying to see again. You know?
No, I mean I would watch Habitat again.
I know you would.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. So Bob gives it an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 6.
8, 6, 5,
6.
6.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty tight race. I feel like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. We're all on the, pretty much the same page with the movie.
Kind of in the middle.
Okay, I'm Eric.
About
I'm Brandon. He's still Brady.
Yeah.
And this was Artistic Differences. Like and subscribe.
Moonlight makes my pussy hair glow.
Oh, God.